Tonight on Hard Copy.
The truth behind the headlines from across the country and around the world. They claim milk does a body good, but find out why some brands may be doing more harm than good.
Up next, got milk? You may wish you didn't after tonight's Hard Target investigation exposes what's really in some of it.
Milk is loaded with powerful growth hormones, hormones that should never be in the human body.
Imagine a cow on crack cocaine. That's how author Robert Cohen describes something shot into millions of cows on American farms.
We genetically engineer a hormone that produces more milk when we didn't need more milk.
While Cohen admits calcium is good for you, he says leafy green vegetables have lots more calcium than milk.
If you look at nature's perfect food, human breast milk, there are 33 milligrams of calcium per 100-gram portion. Potato chips have 40, beans have 50, chickpeas 150, amaranth, a grain, has 267.
Cohen says dairy products are a poor source of calcium for another reason.
Every scientist in the world knows that protein inhibits calcium absorption, and milk is liquid meat. It's protein.
What is in milk that you say is poisonous, and why would the government be covering this up?
Well, what's in milk? You're drinking body fluids from other animals. 60% of the cows in America have leukemia virus. 80% have something called paratuberculosis. You don't want to eat something with that name, paratuberculosis. You've got irritable bowel syndrome in America. That's what it causes. 4 million American women have irritable bowel syndrome. You're talking about if your doctor said, I want you to eat today 53 slices of bacon because that cholesterol is good for you, you're eating from your dairy products the same cholesterol contained in 19,000 slices of bacon this year. By age 52, 1 million slices of bacon's worth of cholesterol. You don't want that in your body.
Of real concern, though, you talk about the bovine growth hormone.
Hormone is the big word here. There are 4,000 mammals. There are 500,000 different hormones. Only one hormone, this is the big secret the dairy industry doesn't want you to know, only one hormone is identical in all of nature between two animals. It's human and cow. It's the most powerful growth hormone in our body. Drink a 12-ounce glass of milk. Double the only hormone that makes breast cancer grow once you get it.
I just assume it's milk. No, I don't. What's in the milk I'm drinking? What's in it?
If you ask the author of this controversial new book, you may not want to hear the answer.
The milk we're drinking is filled with fat. We know that. Cholesterol. We don't know it's filled with virus, bacteria, powerful growth hormones, proteins that cause a vast array of allergies in the human body. This is not nature's perfect food.
In a book called Milk, the Deadly Poison, Robert Cohen attacks what's long been considered the perfect food, claiming it can be a dangerous brew of chemical, biological, and bacterial agents that may also contain a growth hormone he believes can trigger the growth of cancer.
We know children come into puberty earlier in America. We don't know why. Every sip of milk, they're drinking, in addition to this most powerful growth hormone, 59 different bioactive hormones. What nations have the highest rates of breast cancer in the world? I ask people, they say, United States. Denmark, Norway, Holland, and Sweden. What nations have the highest rates of osteoporosis, crippling bone disease? Denmark, Norway, Holland, and Sweden. The dairy industry, every dairy farmer, and there are probably a few in the audience now, you know that for every 100 pounds of milk you produce, you got to pay 15 cents to the national fluid milk processors. Doesn't sound like a lot of money. What are they doing with that money? It's $500 million a year to paint milk mustaches on the lips of models.
Robert, welcome to Your Health.
Nice to be here.
Mother says milk is good. What is this? Milk is no good.
Let me tell you about milk. The #1 protein in milk is casein, C-A-S-E-I-N. That's 80% of the protein in milk. That's the same glue they use to put a label on a bottle of beer. That's the same glue they use to hold your wooden furniture together.
So we're drinking glue.
You're drinking glue, and you create so much mucus. This much casein, this much mucus.
Okay, we're getting technical. You're using a lot of chemicals.
Yeah.
What qualifies you to talk about these?
Well, the greatest controversy in the history of the Food and Drug Administration was the genetic engineering of milk. I'm the only person in America to be invited to meet with a group of top scientists at FDA. I used to do research, $50 word, psychoneuroendocrinology, the study of brain and behavior, how hormones affect behavior. And I uncovered secrets. I opened up a Pandora's box of secrets that the dairy industry wishes had never been opened.
If milk is so bad, then how come everybody else is so wrong and so brainwashed that it's good for you?
Well, they get Calcium Ripken to pose for his milk mustache. Spike Lee, you got 500,000 kids in the New York area that have asthma. They're drinking this glue every day. Spike Lee, 95% of African Americans are lactose intolerant. How could he wear this milk mustache? This is a message. Money is spent by the dairy industry. If you're a doctor, you call their toll-free number, 800-WHY-MILK. They'll send you $200 worth of free information. You call my toll-free number, 888-NOT-MILK, you'll get the truth. We're getting the message out as one voice to America. Milk does not do the body good.
So, got milk? No.
Not milk.
Not milk. We have a phone number where people can reach you, and what is that?
It's toll-free. It's 888-NOT-MILK.
Robert, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Levy. We have a video clip that's going to follow that's going to demonstrate very dramatically that some of the nutrients and additives that go in enriched foods might not be everything you think that they are. If you did not reach this video clip by seeing issue number 4 of Health eBites, you might want to check out that issue as well, and we'll help explain what you're going to see. We're going to look at an enriched cereal that says it has 100% of the daily requirements of vitamins and minerals, and demonstrate through magnetism that the form of iron inside this cereal is actually metallic filings. It should be clear then that this is not really a bioavailable form of iron, and in fact may well represent a toxic form of iron. Extrapolate this to all the other enriched foods, and then you can see that you might be getting a number of, quote, nutrients, unquote, that you might not want to take in on a daily basis. Okay, we have here a box of cereal that supposedly has 100% of the minimum daily requirements of vitamins and minerals, including, of course, iron. So let's go ahead and open it up. We have our flakes. Let's see. Okay. Now we're going to take a few flakes out. Put them on top of the water. And we'll be able to show with this strong magnet that there's enough metallic iron in here to steer this flake around the water. And if you think this isn't unusual, take a magnet and float anything else on water. The magnet will have no effect on it. Okay, having done that, we're going to go ahead and take this bowl of water, put it out of the way. Our next step, I'm now going to show you a demonstration in which we're actually going to pull these metallic iron filings out of the cereal, and you'll be able to see them very dramatically. We have a baggie here, regular ordinary baggie, and we have taped to the side of the baggie another one of these magnets, just like this one here, so that when we put together corn flakes and water and they're all mixed and crunched up together and we slosh it all around, you will eventually see black iron filings collect on top of this magnet. What we'll do first is we'll put the corn flakes or the wheat flakes, as the case may be, in the mixer with water and puree it fine so that all the iron filings that are contained in there can be easily pulled out of the solution by the magnet. Take the box out the way. We'll try to use most of the flakes so that we can get a maximum concentration of iron for you to see. although you'll be able to see them on just half the bag. Okay, we're now going to transfer this cereal dissolved in the water into the bag. We might put a little bit more water in to make it a little more fluid. And then we're going to slosh it around so that as much of the volume of this passes across the top of this magnet, and you'll see that these iron metallic filings will then gather. Try to be delicate and not too messy. Okay, we slosh this around. Our magnet is right here. It's the same as this magnet. We see this green. Here's the green side of this magnet, and you see this enormous amount of metallic filings here. After this, I'm going to cut this out of the bag, and you'll be able to see these filings in even greater detail after I dry them. All right, now we're going to take an empty bowl and put this in here so that we don't make an enormous mess. When I just take my scissors and cut this area out so we can look at these iron filings in a little greater detail. Okay, now I'm going to put a little water on this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a hair dryer and dry these out completely, and then pull the magnet off and drop them on a sheet of paper so we can see them in the final detail. Okay. Take the magnet away. Okay, now we have the filings on the paper. I'm going to take a magnet underneath the table and see how the filings stand up. We push them over from one side to the other. These are clearly metallic filings attracted by magnetism. By deduction, they're iron. So that concludes our demonstration. I think you'll agree this is a pretty dramatic demonstration that you can pull, with magnetism, metallic iron filings out of supposedly enriched cereal. Are metallic iron filings something you want to eat, either in cereal or in pastas or in other flours or other enriched foods? I don't think so. So, buyer beware. Or maybe buyer be aware. Bon appetit.
Hello folks, it's me again, just here to shed some light on a couple of things that I just found out. Tried it myself. You know, what you'll need is a pan of water, some cereal from your cabinet, and a strong neodymium magnet. Preferably, 10,000 Gauss or stronger. But wanted to make this quick video, seen a video on YouTube, wanted to try it myself, didn't quite believe it till I tried it myself. And oh my goodness, I was shocked. But I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick so everybody can see that you can do this at your own home, to see that these people are not playing. They want to kill you. They want to poison you through the water, through the food, through whatever means, through the chemtrails. They are on a full-fledged agenda, and they are keeping to it. Check this out. Here's a bag of, you know, cereal, honeycombs, some wheat bran flakes. All you really need is one, and throw it in a plate of water, and take your neodymium magnet. Hold on, I'm trying to get this stuff a little better organized. Alright, sorry about that. And pull it toward the honeycomb and watch as it follows the magnet. Now, anybody know anything about science and magnetism and all these things, that you know that if there was no metal content in this, that it would not be able to be driven around this plate as though I'm steering and guiding it. Amazing. Amazing. Now, that's the honeycomb, garbage, and go into the bigger garbage and put the corn flake there, or you know, the wheat flake, whatever you want to call it, poison flake. Alright, let's do it again. See, this has a little less content of metal, but still there is metal that is magnetized to the magnet, and it is moving completely across the plate. Simply amazing, folks. You know, I'll post up the link to the other YouTube video that shows you how to do it yourself in greater detail, but I just wanted to make this video to see if my stuff was jacked up too, and it is, you know. So folks, arm yourself with all kind of tools of knowledge. Investigate, research. Organite stops the chemtrails and elf attacks, amongst other things. But people, this is real. Prepare.
Nick Brannigan here from Health Conspiracy Radio, and I am here with my good friend Vicky Lepage. And what we are doing today is demonstrating that these popular children's cereal also has an ingredient that is the main ingredient in degreasing paint, trisodium phosphate. So we want to know how many people know that this toxic chemical is in all their children's favorite cereal.
Hey kids! Are any of these your favorite cereals?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah, Reese's Puffs.
That's a really hard choice because actually they're like my three top.
Trix, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Reese's Puff.
Cinnamon Toast.
Trix!
Cinnamon Toast Crunch all day.
Do you know what these cereals have in common?
Whole grain.
Sugar.
Bunch of sugar.
All whole grain.
Whole grain.
They're all really good.
Fat content.
What? High fructose corn syrup.
Ah, he's kind of smart. All right. Do you know what TSP is?
No, I don't.
Trisodium phosphate?
Uh-oh.
It's very not good for you.
Not good for you?
You use it for cleaning.
Would you eat that?
No, I don't know what it is.
It's degreaser, it's paint remover, it's a lubricant. But it's also found in all three of these cereal. It's an ingredient. Would you still eat it if I gave it to you like that?
No. No.
Why do you have TSP out there?
Do you know what TSP is? You really know what it is?
Come here.
Have you ever eaten it?
I have no idea.
I know what that is.
What is it?
Trisodium phosphate.
What does it do?
It cleans your walls very, very well prior to painting.
Yeah.
Would you eat it?
Do you know that's in your cereal? It's already an ingredient.
Serious?
Yep, in all three of these. Trisodium phosphate right there.
Right there, wow.
I was actually quite surprised that there's TSP in the cereal.
Yeah, so like on this, so if you've used this before and it says a warning, harmful if swallowed, does that look okay to eat?
It looks like sugar, but I know it's not.
That's not sugar, that's trisodium phosphate.
I know, but there's
It's a
still
chemical.
chemical.
Do you still want to eat the cereal now?
No. No.
She goes, yes.
No, I wouldn't.
No. Would you still eat this cereal right now if I put that on top?
No.
What do you think that does to your insides?
It makes bacteria go bleh.
Something like that.
What's up with this one?
This one's organic. Now, we're not promoting it or anything, but it tastes the exact same as Reese's Puffs, but it doesn't have the weird ingredients in it. Do you want to try it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, if you look at the ingredients in this, you can understand all the ingredients. You know what you're eating. It's not necessarily healthy, but it's a lot healthier for you. It has no chemicals in it. Does it taste the same as Reese's Puff?
So you're advertising for Trader Joe's?
No, we're not. We're just
for anybody.
we're just doing it for activism. Do they taste the same as Reese's Puffs?
In addition to the problem.
Would you prefer eating these than that?
Yes.
These have all ingredients that you can read. They don't have GMOs and they don't have trisodium phosphate.
You hear that?
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to think twice next time I buy my cereal. Awesome, good.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
High five.
Have a good day. Yeah, exactly.
Do they put that stuff in Cheerios? Yeah?
They do.
Everything we'd done on our acres since coming to Iowa had been designed to do one thing: grow as many bushels of corn as possible. What we hadn't realized was that what we were growing was essentially an acre of sugars.
We know some things just from the factual analytical standpoint about the corn which is grown in Iowa. It has been selected for high productivity. This means high volume starch production. Well, you never get something for nothing in the world of biophysics, and what you give up in the bargain is nutritional value.
Most of what we've done in agricultural so-called improvements and in food processing have actually degraded our food supply from a nutritional standpoint.
The corn that originally came north from Mexico was a grain with a higher protein content. But as corn was bred for higher productivity, the nature of the corn kernel was transformed.
What's happened is that increased yield has been mainly an expansion in the endosperm, or the starch fraction of the kernel of corn. And of course, now we're taking that starch and converting it to high fructose corn sweetener, which basically has no nutritional value, only adverse metabolic effects and empty calories.
For each kernel of our corn turned into high fructose corn syrup, there's a nearly 70% chance it will end up sweetening a beverage, likely headed for a big city far from the Corn Belt. In Brooklyn, New York, about 139 million gallons of soda are consumed each year, sweetened by 20,000 acres of corn.
Boruga, ¿cómo está, Boruga? ¿Está lento la cosa o qué?
Así mero, así mero.
Yeah, right now we are at 5th Avenue Park Slope, Brooklyn, New York.
And you grew up here?
Grew up right in this neighborhood. Was born in Methodist Hospital.
We've been growing this acre of corn in Iowa and trying to figure out where the corn will go when it leaves our farm. And so we've been following the story of corn syrup.
Tell you what, just stopping into a bodega and buying a bottle of soda. It doesn't matter if it's a Pepsi or Coke or, it doesn't matter. any soda product contains corn syrup. There's a soda, I don't know if they still have it out. It was called Colonial Grape. That had to be the sweetest grape soda I ever drank. I don't know if it had more sugar or more corn syrup than any other one, but I drank up to 2 liters a day, maybe more.
One of the great changes in the American food supply during the last 20 years is that we are now drinking many more calories than we were before. And there does seem to be something about drinking calories in the form of soda, for example, that just doesn't generate the stop signals.
I actually never thought that soda would be a large problem to drink, but I could show you a picture over here. The way I used to be, I used to weigh over 300 pounds. That's me right there. I was a size 60 in pants, and I stopped drinking soda, and just by not drinking soda, I lost about a third of what I weighed, you know.
We have an explosion of obesity. That's probably the most conspicuous symptom of the nutritional crisis occurring in America. But the obesity is only just part of it. High consumption of sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup has quite adverse metabolic effects. And what we see in our long-term studies is higher risk of type 2 diabetes as well.
Hello.
Hi.
Kurt Ella.
Farida Khan. Nice to meet you.
Chamber.
Diabetes essentially means that your blood sugar level in the blood is higher than what your pancreas can control and keep in the normal range. 1 in 8 New Yorkers have diabetes, which either is diagnosed or they don't know if they have diabetes and they remain undiagnosed.
Like, it's not like any other disease that we have where we just give prescriptions and that's the end of it, because it's not something that goes away.
Diabetes is a disease and obesity is a disease which is strongly linked to the environmental factor of food and exercise. What is the cheaper food for people? Okay, I think cost has a lot to do with what people buy. The cheaper food is really not a healthy food.
And the main thing is sodas. Soda is liquid candy. And people think they're quenching their thirst drinking a glass of soda, but there you have a big, amount of sugar that you're drinking.
In a recent analysis, we found that drinking 1 soda per day on average almost doubled the risk of type 2 diabetes compared to only occasionally having a soda beverage or not at all.
My dad, he had a pain in his toe for over 6 months, and he found out he was diabetic that way. And they cut his big toe off. And before my father died, it went from his toe to his foot to below the knee to above the knee, and then they wanted to start cutting on the other leg. My dad said no, that was enough, and he just gave up. My mom died of a direct result of diabetes. My grandmother died a direct result of diabetes. My sister Madeline, she's been a diabetic for years. I was recently diagnosed with diabetes. We don't think of what we're putting into our system. We don't really think about it.
Michael Moss is the Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter at the New York Times. He is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, Sugar, Salt, Fat, How the Food Giants Hooked Us. Michael, really a pleasure to talk to you, and there's just so much in your book that I was very interested in, and I picked out a few things that I think might be interesting to focus on today. One that I want to talk about is when companies like Kraft and a lot of these other players that we're very familiar with in the processed food industry started to see study after study linking the sugar, salt, and fat-laden foods clearly to obesity. How did they react?
Well, within these largest companies, there are actually, and this surprised me, cabals of insiders who became increasingly alarmed, not just from like a social policy standpoint, but also just from fear of losing the public trust. And early on in my research for the book, I came across this extraordinary meeting way back in 1999. These insiders brought together the CEOs of some of the largest manufacturers in North America to talk about none other than the emerging obesity, diabetes, etc. epidemic. And they stood up before these CEOs and made this incredible pitch. A senior official from Kraft gets up and, armed with 114 slides, lays at their feet responsibility for the obesity crisis and even links their foods with several cancers and pleads with them to do the right thing by consumers.
And what was the reaction to that pleading?
You know, from his perspective, the meeting was an utter failure. I mean, he even went so far as to warn them that the lawyers who went after big tobacco, it wasn't just a matter of if, but when they were going to come after big food with the same arguments, that there are health effects from overconsumption of salt, sugar, fat, that the industry's over-reliance on these ingredients has contributed to the epidemic, and that the lawyers will come after that, if nothing else, to recover some of the public health care costs associated with obesity. The CEOs reacted defensively.
My name is Andrew Siegel. I'm a physician in the metropolitan New York area, and today I would like to share with you my sentiments on processed foods, that which I call killer foods. This is part of my Rail and Wail series, a crusade against lifestyle misconduct. Real food, as depicted on this beautiful image of fruits and vegetables. Real food is colorful, bright, vibrant, natural, unaltered, wholesome. It appeals to our senses of vision, smell, touch, besides the taste. Real food is untainted. This is real food, wholesome, hearty. This is real salmon, and this is real beef, pure, unadulterated, colorful, fresh. This is a bird's eye image of a supermarket, and what you see is processed foods galore. This is what I would call your classic processed food, your Hostess Twinkie. A Pop-Tart would also be classified as a classic example of processed food. Or go to the meat section of the supermarket, and you'll see plenty of processed foods. Hot dogs. What is processed food? The technical definition is attractive and marketable food products produced by the transformation of raw ingredients using harvested or slaughtered components. A more pragmatic definition would be real food that has been altered in any way in order to A, lower its production cost, B, lengthen its shelf life, C, make it more appealing, and D, make you want to eat more of it, resulting in reduction of its nutritional content and an increase in chemicals, dyes, preservatives, and toxins. And then finally, an alternative definition of processed food, reconstituted muck. I think Spam portrays that well. So processing, what is it? It comes from the same word as a procession, a march. The march starts with the farmer and ends up with you and me. And in between the farmer and you and me are the processor, the distributor, retailer, and finally us. And there's quite a transition. It's like the game telephone. What starts intact and pure at one end becomes quite different at the other end. The killer trio of processed food is enriched wheat flour, high fructose corn syrup, and partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. And forthcoming will be YouTube's educational videos on each of these in particular. If you take a package of Hostess Twinkies as a classic example, and read the ingredient list and look at the nutritional facts. As I have represented on this image, you will see many, many, many components. In general, the more ingredients in any food, the unhealthier it is for you. Ideally, there is one ingredient in food. That's real food. In this, there are 15, 20, 30, I didn't count. But highlighted in boldface are enriched wheat flour, high fructose corn syrup, and partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. There are artificial flavors, artificial colors. Additionally, there's even beef fat in a Hostess Twinkie. Unbelievable. In my opinion, some of these processed foods are basically really not foods, but chemistry laboratory experiments. That's what they are. It's a chemical cornucopia of ingredients. The lab rat, in this particular case, is your children and you, the consumer, who are overindulging with processed foods. There are many reasons why to avoid processed foods. Essentially, they are unhealthy and nutritionally void. They have hidden sugar, salt, and fat. They have additives, preservatives, flavor enhancers, chemicals, and dyes. Some processed foods are filled with mystery parts, particularly processed meats, hot dogs. To make up for the loss of nutrients during processing, synthetic vitamins and minerals are usually added. When you spend your money on processed foods, it means less money spent on locally grown healthy foods and less support of that healthy industry. And probably most important, eating a diet high in processed foods can lead to diabetes, obesity, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, as well as cancers. In my opinion, processed foods are as toxic as tobacco. And I think the Surgeon General ought to put a warning label on processed foods, just as they have on cigarettes. So a few guidelines. Eating some processed foods is inevitable, but read labels. Avoid unfamiliar, unpronounceable ingredients, or in general, processed foods that contain more than 5 ingredients. Avoid the vicious trio: high fructose corn syrup, partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, and enriched wheat flour. Avoid foods that contain tropical oils. Avoid foods that make health claims, often evidence of severe processing. And try to avoid junk foods, fast foods, and mystery meats. Your body will thank you. For more information, my website, findyourfountainofyouth.com, where you can download a free electronic copy of my book on maximizing health, wellness, fitness, and longevity. Additionally, the other Rail and Whale series will be on high fructose corn syrup, partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, enriched wheat flour, and tobacco. Thank you for your attention.